Okay, we're ready for a new week in Comp 1, and want to tell you first of all, thank you to those of you who are just doing a really great job communicating your questions in both the forums and in the message center. Keep your questions coming. No one should be sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do, because you have these resources here, and I want you to use them. And don't apologize for those questions. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so let's look at the content for this week. If you would please. We got done writing a paper this last week. That's lots of work. Couple things I want you to note as we walk through is that this is more of a building week again. This is more of a kind of getting our honing in on some skills with writing, and then of course week 5 will be writing again. And the paper that we're going to be gearing up to write will be basically more of a evaluation essay. So be thinking in terms of that as we get going here. Not this week, but next week. Okay, so I'm in course content for week 4. And first of all, there is a slideshow for you. And I love these old school looking slideshows. I don't know, I didn't put them together, so I inherited the slideshows from another instructor. I think Dr. Barris might have put these together. But they're talking about structuring your academic writing, and I think that in my years of teaching writing, perhaps this in itself is the biggest thing that you can learn to improve your writing, is how to structure it. And they're going to give you some ways to do that through this slideshow that you may have heard of before. And some things that we might think are just a waste of time might be the best use of time. It's sort of like the difference between, I like to cook, and the difference between having really sharp knives and not having sharp knives when I'm cooking. I'm going to work twice as hard and get not so great results with dull knives. If I have a really sharp knife, I'm going to cut through that green pepper and slice it and dice it and have a really good product. It's going to look nice, it's going to be easier on my hands. That's kind of how planning and structuring your writing for academics is. If you spend the time up front and front end some of that work and get some of the structure going before you jump into your writing, you're going to have better results, and it's actually going to ironically take you less time in the end. Okay, so that's my little spiel on that. The prompt for next week's essay is, like I said, it's an evaluation essay. The prompt is here. In this essay, you're going to establish a set of criteria in order to evaluate a product or service. So kind of interesting. I just had my windows washed this fall, and I would definitely be able to write you an evaluation of that particular service, what I expected going into it, and how that particular service fell short and achieved those expectations, right? Evaluation. The next element of this is a semicolon slideshow. I always say that a semicolon is like a wink. Okay, that's how you remember it in emoticons. But this is a really key one. We often, probably the most common grammar error I see in student writing is the comma splice. And the easy fix is a semicolon. You'll learn about that in this slideshow. And then there's a semicolon test. And there's some reading from the textbook. There's 3 different essays, okay? And you're going to read those in preparation to participate in the discussion board. Notice that there are 3 discussions that you have to have 100 words each. You guys have been doing a great job making those initial posts. But then you have to reply to at least 1 initial post in order to get that credit, okay? So as I've been reading through these, probably the thing that we could work on a little bit more is making sure, 1, that you reply to somebody else, and 2, try to mix it up. I feel like sometimes all the same people get all the responses, and it might be because they post earlier than others. So consider getting your initial post out there a little earlier. You could even jump ahead to do the discussion board first this week, for example. But do try to get this, think of this as our classroom, and how are we going to get everybody engaged in this discussion? What can I say in my initial post that might invite other people to talk about my post? And think about how fun it is, like, to get mail, right? I mean, didn't you kind of like getting a letter that's from somebody who wants to say something kind to you? That's what this is sort of like. So give everybody some mail. All right, that's what we have for this week. I feel like this is actually kind of a lighter week, which is good following a paper. I will do my best to get some responses back to you on your papers in a timely fashion so that you're never working on the next paper before you've gotten your information back from your first one. So I'll try to be getting to you that information by the end of the week. If you have questions, as always, give a shout through email or forums. Bye-bye.